Hypnosis, I think, is where I'm supposed to be talking from. Is that right? Okay. So we're going to start off without this microphone thing, because one of the things that that people tend to get confused about is the difference between a magician and a hypnotist. Okay, I think generally because we both end up on stage, and generally because we both entertain people in a mystical type of way. So to begin my day today, I'm going to, if I may, just show you how bad a magician I am. I'm glad this is not the hypnotist side, but come and join me and we'll play a game. Okay? You promise? I promise. Okay, the hypnotist, I'll get you to choose a card. Now be quick about it. Anyone? Alright.
You're not allowed to see it, though.
Take the first one. A jack. What is it? Show it to everybody.
It's a jack of clubs.
A jack of clubs. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is take that jack. I'd like you to concentrate on it.
Yeah.
Okay, concentrate very, very hard. And roll it over and over and over in your mind. A jack of clubs, a jack of clubs, a jack of clubs. Okay. Now you can give it back to me. And what I'll do is I'll roughly about centre of the deck. Nothing on the sleeves. Okay, about centre of the deck, and in she goes. Okay. Now, jack of clubs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you concentrating on it? Okay, so you've made it jump back to the top of the deck. That's quite impressive, isn't it? So what I'd like you to do is put both hands down like this, and we'll go there like that. Okay? Jack of clubs. Okay. Now, I've got an 8 of spades. You've got a jack of clubs. Okay? I think your jack of clubs deserves to be at the top of the deck. Okay? And my... Yeah, I think that's all we need. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Do you know any magic words?
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Did you feel that? A jack of clubs. Isn't that exciting? You've got the jack of clubs. Okay, so as you can see, I am not a magician. Right.
You say.
Do you advantage on it?
Yeah. I call this little talk the magic of belief. And I like to start it off this way. I'd like you all to take yourselves back in time to about 578 years ago. Now, 578 years ago, a girl of 17 stood in front of her king and said, "If you put me at the head of your army, I will drive the English from our country. I will create such a war cry that it will be heard for eternity." Now, if technology works for me...
You said she slipped into the city. The English are still besieging on the outside. How did it come to battle then?
It took a little while, because what the theologians had said was test her, send her to Orleans with troops. But they hadn't actually really sorted out what was going to happen when she got there. They hadn't sorted out a chain of command. It's extraordinary. The siege has been going on for months and months, and in just 4 days of fighting, Orleans is free and the English are driven away. And you get the sense of this overwhelming certainty, this overwhelming charisma that Jo brought as an ingredient that just hadn't been there. And her troops begin to believe they can win, and the English begin to believe they can't. And that's what makes all the difference.
Her troops begin to believe they can win, and the English begin to believe they can't. And that is what made all of the difference. You have to understand, what we've got here is something that was going on for months and months and months. Two warring factions that are getting nowhere. And what it took to change the fate of this war was a 17-year-old girl astride a horse holding a flag. That is the only difference there was. Well, maybe not the only difference. There was the belief of the people on either side of that walk. And their understanding of the difference that Joan, sitting astride her horse, holding a flag, she had a sword, she didn't use it. She held a flag. And that is all she did. But they went on to win. At least they won that battle. And the rest of the story probably isn't as nice. But that belief is what I'd like to talk to you about today. So how about I start by showing you? Okay? Can I get everyone, just for the hell of it, to stand up? Take your hands and put them together like this. Now interlock your fingers, making sure the back of your hands are close together. The two closest fingers I'd like you to hold apart. Now look between those fingers, stare at them and concentrate and imagine that I have just placed two magnets, one in the tip of each finger. And as you're looking at those fingers, imagine that those magnets are getting stronger. And as those magnets are getting stronger, your fingers are starting to pull closer and closer and closer together. Now this is the magic of belief.
That's a good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the people, 7 of the people around this table have a belief that they've got magnets in their fingers pulling them together. Okay, let's try another one. Can we do this? Put the hands out like that. It's called arthritis. Okay, while the hands are out like that, I'd like you to close your eyes.
I'll fall over.
Okay, fair enough. Close your eyes. Turn one hand over. Now imagine I have just placed 2 Brisbane phone books in that hand. With your eyes closed, imagine the weight of those phone books pushing down on your arm. Feel the weight of those phone books pushing down on your hands. Feel the strength of your arm starting to dwindle as your hands start to move towards the ground. And the other hand, imagine that I have just tied a giant helium balloon that starts tugging and tugging at that arm. It starts pulling and pulling it higher and higher and higher. Now it's important that the weight of those 2 Brisbane phone books pushing down on your hands and the tug of that helium balloon pulling up on your arms is right inside your mind. The imagination that you possess can feel that weight, can feel it moving up and down. Now open your eyes and you'll notice that some of you have moved your hands this far and some of you have moved your hands this far. And this is a terribly exciting thing. Would you like to join me out here? Being the president? Just one? You can come too. Just be John over there? John, you can come too. Just because I think. Just you fainted? Good man. Okay, we're going to try one
Two
more
new
thing.
members now because he's
No. I promise not to look in anyone's eyes. Okay. What I'd like you to do is take your feet and put them about shoulder width apart. Now take one foot and move it forward so that the heel and the toe are aligned. Okay? Excellent. Now I need you to focus on that foot that's at the front. Okay? Notice how your knees are actually, your foot's nice and straight. Just break that. I don't want you to bend it, but just don't have it locked tight. Okay, now focus on your foot. Focus hard. As you're focusing, as you're looking at that foot, I'd like you to feel it start to push into the ground. I'd like you to notice the extra weight and pressure forcing down on that foot, pushing into the floor. And as you're feeling that extra weight, as you're feeling that push down on the floor, notice a gooey, sticky, super glue-like substance start to appear between your foot and the floor. Now, I don't know if it'll start at your heel and move forward, or if it will start at your toe and move back, but it will totally fill that void between your foot and the floor. Notice the warmth of that gooey, sticky, super glue type substance. Notice that warmth. Notice it start to cool. Notice it start to harden. Notice it start to go incredibly hard and stick. Now notice that your foot is stuck to the floor. And notice the moment you know your foot is stuck to the floor, you can try and lift it and find you can't. The moment you know 100% that that foot is stuck to the floor, you can try and lift it and find you can't. So, what I'd like to do now,
You need someone else?
no, I don't need someone else. What I've got, actually this is very interesting, and I'll explain to you in this position. The people in this room are not generally the ones that will do what we've just done. Okay? This is actually the first time I've been totally stuffed up like this. And I have found that that generally in a group this big, even with people of this age, and they're the ones that don't tend to be susceptible to hypnosis, I generally find one or two people, okay? And in this case today I haven't. So I'm now going to have to continue and explain to you, and that is all I can do is explain that what I've just done there will, in many, many cases, provide you with a person with their foot stuck to the floor. And that person with their foot stuck to the floor is how can I put it? Basically, it's impossible. Okay, because it can't happen, can it? It can't happen. Even though I've done it hundreds of times, it just can't happen. The laws of physics, the laws of biology, the laws of any different science you want to point at will say that can't happen. But the belief that's in someone's mind that says that foot stuck to the floor, sees it stuck to the floor. And from there I move out and we talk about other things that our belief tells us. Please, yeah, that'd be great, and I'll continue. Let's talk about that belief and what the beliefs are. And I guess I'll start with my story, and my story for being here is basically falls back to my mum. Okay, my mum is 73 years old. My mum has a belief that a person of 73 years old has a life that has pretty much reached its useful end. Okay? And that pisses me off no end. Because I don't believe it for a second. I believe that there are I know of one lady in Toowoomba, don't know her myself, I've only heard her interviewed, at the tidy age of 101 was winning world records for track and field. She was doing this because at the age of about 76, she used to go along with her daughter who was running track and field, and she was the bag lady, for want of a better word. She held all of the ladies' bags while they ran and threw discus and threw javelin and all of that sort of stuff. She decided at this age of 76 to stop holding the bags and start going to compete. At 101, she held the world record for every event she was in.
She just had to turn up.
She was the only person in each of those events, but she was there and doing it. And I firmly believe that if she had not done that at 76, her life would not have continued on to be as great as it could be. Okay, that's a big part of my reason for coming to talk to you. Another part is because as I've told you before, as I think everyone here today is, I chair another business club or another social club or another club of the sort that's in Toowoomba, and I find that that getting people in to have a chat to you is something that's not the easiest thing to do, and I enjoy doing it. So that's another part of me being here. So this magic of belief, my question to you is, what are you actually saying to yourself that is forming a belief in your mind? Like my mum, who says that, well, I'm pretty useless as I am. There's not that much that I can do, so I'll just stop really trying to do anything. And that's what I'm seeing. I often finish these with a bit of a discussion that starts with this. There are many people of the age of the people in this room, and that's starting at me, who today is about 50-something. And I say that because my secretary arrived at work late today, and I don't know why she arrived at work at all, after being at the funeral of her cousin at 52 who died of a heart attack. Okay? And my belief, and I know that there's going to be many people in this room who one day soon will be sitting across from a doctor who will say to them, I think you should go home and put your affairs in order. And I believe that is simply him passing his belief across the table. And I believe that choices can be made that can make that something totally different to what it said. One fellow, I'm what you would call a podcast junkie. I listen to lots of, I guess what you'd call radio, but over the internet. And this one gentleman at the age of about 60 was told by his doctors, look, you've got cancer, you're going to die, you should, put your affairs in order. He went from there and decided, okay, well, I'm an immigrant to America, and he was in America, I'm going to move back to my homeland in Greece. Ikaria, I think, is the actual place. Ikaria is a place where they have more centenarians than the majority of the rest of the world. He moved back there, he started doing what Icarians do. And they, what? Eat well. Eat well, or well, depends on how you look at it. Drink wine and socialise with all of the people there. He very recently had his 100th birthday, 40 years after he was told, you've got 6 months to live. And this is not an uncommon thing, and this is my thoughts and reasons for coming and chatting to you today. And I'm terribly disappointed that I couldn't perform my magic, because hypnosis is the closest thing that you can get to real magic, because it's the power of the mind, and it's the power of the mind that you're working with, whether that be someone in this room or wherever it be. My second reason for being here is I am a hypnotist, and usually it does work. And I do a comedy hypnosis show, and at least once a month, I give my time away to someone who is trying to raise money. So I've found the very best people are young sports people. A team full of rugby players and their girlfriends on stage is just the best night you'll ever see in the world. Okay. So that is here to sort of say to you, look, that's what I offer. And if you are involved in something that's needing to raise money and wanting to put together a good night, I'm there to help them. That's one. I think I've just about come to the end of the stuff that I want to say. Would anybody like to ask me a question or two? Yeah.
Nick, did you start your doing magician, or did you start doing hypnotism?
No, I'm a hypnotist.
Yeah.
I do like 4 card tricks, and they're just because. Well, that's actually interesting. Being a hypnotist is all about brain power, and I believe that brain power means that you've got to continue to use it for it to improve and get better. And when I say I believe that because the studies are actually starting to show that. The science of there, my brain's not working right now, is it? The science of the brain says that, yeah, use it and it gets better and you continue to grow neurons and your brain continues to grow. It doesn't stop unless you let it stop. One of the things I did to make my hands work better, because I'm right-handed, was to learn a few card tricks, because you have to manipulate your left hand a lot more to do that. And that's one of the things. I'm currently learning to walk a tightrope. I actually took 17 years to learn how to juggle. And that was another belief. Because I had a wife at one time who told me that I was not, I didn't have the coordination to learn to juggle. And I believed that for 15 years after she was no longer my wife. And then one day I said to myself, I'm going to learn how to do this. And I didn't do it properly. To actually learn something, you really have to put some effort into it. If I'm going to learn something, I will take time and I will put it aside and say this much time every day is what I will be learning this. So when I learned how to juggle 4 balls instead of 3, I built a bench that high so that when the balls dropped, I didn't have to bend down and waste time picking them up. And I started to juggle. And for 20 hours, half an hour a day, for 20 days, I just juggled the 4 balls. The 20 hours wasn't quite long enough. I can now do the 4 balls, but I'm not, it's not in the muscle. With 3 balls, it's in the muscle. I don't have to actually watch what I'm doing to do it. So that's no longer improving my brain. I have to do stuff harder.
What about hypnosis?
Yes.
Where did you realise that you had that, skill or
It's a learned behaviour. It's definitely.
You practice that as well.
You practice that as well.
New situations, new tricks. What have you learned?
It's not so much tricks. It's doing the stage stuff. That's fraught with danger.
Yeah.
Because people, because you have to want to. You actually have to want to do it. And if I get a couple of people up here on stage with me who are scared, it's not going to happen. When it comes to the hypnosis in the hypnotherapy side of it, everyone's hypnotised. Okay, because number one, if they're coming to you, they want to be. And it's something that's quite easily learnt. Okay, and yeah, I learned how to help.
Steve, have you done the hypnosis when someone didn't know they're being hypnotised and maybe you shouldn't have done so?
The easy answer to that is no. It is possible. But in saying that, you can't. You Google hypnosis and you end up with a picture of 2 boys and their teacher, who happens to be curvaceous with very little clothes on. You can't do that. It doesn't happen. That's not something that works. You can offer suggestions to help people do what they need to. You can actually offer suggestions to get the people to. And they can slide past. You can't turn them into a zombie and make them your slave. But you can definitely use the powers of your voice and the powers of language to help or hinder the progress someone is making.
With this suggestion to stop and hypnosis stuff, but are they competing?
I would say they're a continuum. Okay, your suggestion is a massive part of what hypnosis is.
Okay. Years ago, I was at a scout camp, and there was a myth or whatever that if you got someone and you put their fingers in a glass of water, they'd go to bed. And I was telling this kid, next morning there's 400 of us in a big circle, and they started talking about this kid. He said, he'd never normally like this, and started going on. Then I worked out what he was on about. That he'd gone to bed and dreamt
Of the
that
water.
someone put his fingers in a glass of water and he'd wet his sleeping bag. So I couldn't stop laughing. And so I was blamed for actually doing it.
Right.
But it was entirely
Yeah.
in his
A
head.
suggestion.
Is that suggestion? Or-
That sounds like suggestion to me,
Yeah.
or it sounds like maybe, a young man that had a bedwetting problem.
But I think it's so terrifying.
No, that does sound like suggestion to me. And as I said, you can use language to help it.
Yeah, I was told to fess up, and of course I had to, but they kept on going. So you did it.
Can you hypnotise yourself?
Yes, and that's actually pretty scary because it is really a very enjoyable feeling. And it seriously is. It's sort of like a meditation. And I have on a few occasions, and this is probably, I shouldn't say this, especially with the camera running, but on a few occasions I've been driving and gone, oh, I better stop what I'm doing, because I have been
Somewhere else?
putting myself into a state that I probably shouldn't have been putting myself into. Not in that situation.
Once a person has been hypnotised, is it easier to hypnotise with subsequent time?
Yes, it is.
And why?
It's because they've been there before. The biggest thing that will stop a person from being hypnotised is fear. If you know that what you're going into, then the fear is so much less. And that's, the people believe that if they're going to drop into hypnosis, they're going to wake up and find their underwear hanging over and I just don't do that anymore.
You want to bet your
But no, they believe they're going to say something that they're going to tell secrets, or they're going to wind up with no clothes on. And if that's what they believe, they're not going to go into that state that they need to.
Steve, sports psychology,
Yes.
do you get involved in teams?
Look, I haven't as yet. I do know it can be very successful. And
They imagine weightlifters. I think there's so much psychology with weightlifters. They've got to believe they're going to do it.
Well, when you consider that many people talk about the grandmother who lifted the car off the grandchild, that's a mind power thing. And if you can control your mind in the right way, you can do incredible things. And there are many stories of sportsmen excelling and in coaching these days, there is an awful lot of hypnotic type language and hypnotic type techniques used to improve a person's capabilities.
Well, I mean, the pre-soccer team, do any top golfer, Jason Day, whatever, and they are taught to do the same thing over and over again. It's almost a trance thing. They don't feel it, they walk back and try it again.
Many of them will visualise the shot before
That's
they
what I
begin.
was just going to say, visualisation.
Yeah. Again, that's a mind control. Yeah. Yes.
It was personal experience. It was through a big long table at a family function. It was a long time ago, and a magician, just an entertainer. That's all the advertising. So that people wasn't paid money, I didn't pay. But he walked down the table and I had a short sleeve shirt on, and I had a very expensive watch. A father's watch. If I replace the table, you got $20,000. That's for a watch. I don't know how my mother afforded to give it to him. And I was wearing the watch that day. He moved down the table, moved all that, and got people that drive on their knees and napkins, initials, and he turned it over and hit them initials and a few card tricks. As he walked through, he got them to the other side of the table, and you just hit on something. Though I was probably a little bit hypnotised because I was watching what he was doing, and watching him over here, and talking to people here. And he got right at the end of the room, and he finished the show. And he said, well, I've just got to finish. By the way, does anyone own this watch? He held up my watch. I looked at my wrist, and it was a leather band, quite difficult to get off. You had to muck around and get it off. He had my watch in his hand. How did you able to do that? He got off my wrist, and for 10 minutes, I didn't realise I didn't have the watch on.
Because he had you spellbound. He had you hypnotised. Yeah.
Hang on to your watch.
Yeah, hold on to your watch.
Yeah, where's your watch?
Well, I've got one of these newfangled things, and sitting having dinner the other night, and the phone rings, and it's in the office, studying it. And Joyce said, you can answer the phone with that. I pressed it, and I talked to Alan on the phone. That's magic. Actually,
Just ordinary watch.
Thanks.
So will I wrap it?
Dick Tracy.
Will I wrap it at that?
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. That was great.
All right, one more question. I want to know what the back scratching.
What's the back scratching thing?
Look, the Back Scratchers is simply a small business club in Toowoomba. We are very, I think we align very much with Rotary type ideals. We have three pillars. One is we're a business club, so leads are passed around the road. The second is charitable. We help support the Toowoomba Hospice, and we try and bring out, let people know that it needs support. And the third is it is a social type club where business people who work way too hard for way too little money get together once a week and have a good time.
And the back scratching is to do with the leads and stuff.
Yeah, that's the original name. It was a break away from one of those B&I things about 20 years ago. And they said, we're not looking to be that serious about it. We don't want to count how much money is made from the leads we pass. We just want to get together each week. And since I've been chair, I've been trying to grow the numbers, and I think everyone knows all about that. And I see my job in two parts. Find people, and that's people to join us, and that's people to speak to us. I'm now getting to the point where I'm videoing an awful lot of the speakers.